when the dollar falls, or these other currency falls, all credit derivatives, and then you're left with all the purchasing power of all that lost purchasing power gets vacuumed into silver, even more than gold, which is why we're going to go eventually to very near a 15-to-1 ratio, which is the historic exchange ratio, monetary exchange ratio between gold and silver. That's natural economic law. We have to go through a reckoning. That's natural law. Like, just as all debts are paid either by paying the debt or defaulting, all theft is paid too. Because when you steal, that value, when you make an exchange of two people and they're both benefiting, legitimate, when you steal, one loses at the expense of the other. And so you have a net negative effect on society. So when you have a society that operates through these sorts of theft systems, those thefts and those debts are going to be paid one way or another. Now, I have no dollar figure for where silver is going to go in the end game, but I do believe strongly that the end game bell. How do we know when this is all over? Like, the bell's ringing. Okay, well, dollar has collapsed. It's going to be at a 15-to-1 gold to silver ratio, one that's relatively stable. I'm not saying like we hit it one day, like in 1980 it happened for a day and a half or something. I'm saying this time it's going to stay that way until we can rebuild a basic economic system again. So it could be a year or two, three. I don't know, but I'm saying it's going to be stable enough that silver supplies can filter through the economic system, physical silver supplies, and that figuratively and almost literally creates a base of wider silver dispersal where you can rebuild another credit pyramid, hopefully an honest one where all debts are paid and you don't have fractional reserve or however you think the banking system functions. What does the United States look like? I really don't know. Which is why, frankly, I don't want to live here. I don't know what Israel's going to look like either. I'd rather be with my people than being here. Precisely because I don't know. I would imagine that states could break off from the federal government. The federal government could dissipate, and you could have regions, different regions. Like, if the South had won the Civil War, you'd have the Confederate States and the Northern United States. So, break into a few pieces. I think there's going to be serious trouble in the very big cities like in LA, New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, where you're from. These places that are morally rotting, they're not going to do very well. But I think outside of that, you will have Americans, and America will exist. The United States as it exists now, I don't know. I can't say yes. I can't say no. It might reorganize into some looser government or Articles of Confederation-y or something. Or California, New York could cede and then leave the more fiscally responsible states into some other union. It could be anything. I just hope that we get through it with the minimal amount of suffering.
If we start from first principles, we have to face a reality that most economists, politicians, and talking heads won't admit. Societies built on theft eventually collapse. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We know this from history. The Soviet Union collapsed. Hard communism in Mao's China collapsed until they carved out free market zones just to survive. Every society that normalized theft, where taking from one another was the system itself, eventually fell apart. And that's what inflation is: systemic theft. It's not just rising prices. Prices rising are the symptom. The theft is in the money itself. Every single transaction, every paycheck, every business deal has a tiny slice shaved off the top, invisibly siphoned away into government coffers and central bank balance sheets. Now, inflation theft is clever. It's slow. It hides in plain sight. Because as society grows more productive, you should expect prices to fall. Think about it. A computer that cost $3,000 in 1995 should cost $300 today if money were honest. And in terms of gold, it probably does. But priced in dollars, which are backed by nothing, everything looks like it's getting more expensive. That's the illusion. If you insist on living inside the illusion, you feel poorer every year. But if you measure in honest money, gold and silver, you see the truth. The real cost of living has been falling for decades. Fiat just masked that fact. This brings me to the point that changed everything for me. You can live with one leg inside the illusion and one leg outside it. If you earn a salary in dollars, yes, you have to keep some liquidity because you need to pay bills in the system. But if you stack gold and silver regularly, even if it's just a little each month, you're stepping outside of that prison. Think about it like this. Every ounce of silver you put aside is a little piece of freedom. Every ounce of gold is a vote against the system. And when the credit pyramid collapses, because all pyramids collapse eventually, it will be stackers who have something left when the air gets sucked out of the room. Now let's zoom out. The US economy, the global economy really, is one giant pyramid scheme. At the bottom is real money, gold, and beneath it, silver. Above that is credit. Trillions and trillions of IOUs, derivatives, and debt instruments stacked so high, the air is thin and people are dizzy. This pyramid works only as long as people believe the top layers are as good as the bottom. But here's the catch. The higher you build, the more unstable it gets. And when the collapse comes, all that illusory value falls downward until the base, gold and silver, absorbs it. That's why I keep hammering the point. Silver isn't just undervalued, it's absurdly undervalued. When this all unwinds, the natural economic law will force us back toward a 15-to-1 gold-to-silver ratio. Historically, for thousands of years, that's where it stayed. Today, we're sitting at something like 80-to-1. That gap is screaming to close. Let me pause for a second and add a little humor, because otherwise this stuff gets too heavy. Someone asked me once, Rafi, if silver is so undervalued, why hasn't Wall Street piled in already? And I told them, because Wall Street doesn't want real money. They want numbers on a screen that they can rehypothecate 100 times before lunch. Physical silver is boring. It doesn't pay a yield. It just sits there, shiny, honest, and immune to lies. And that's precisely why you need it. You could see the look on their face, like I had just told them their favorite video game console had no power cord. People are addicted to the illusion.
It's not that prices are rising. They only seem to rise within the inflationary system, within this illusory system that we're all stuck in, like a prisoner's dilemma, and we're all stuck in it. Prices are actually, they've been going down since 1960s. I mean, if you look at everything priced in money
And gold.
Money, I mean gold and silver, mostly gold, silver secondarily. But if you look at actual prices, they're going down. And so the prices are only going up if you insist on maintaining your economic existence within the illusion itself. And you could say, okay, fine. So let's say I want to get out of the illusion and just, take all of my salary and just buy gold with it every month. Well, I understand you can't do that because you need to be liquid, and gold is not as liquid as dollars. It would be if we were on a gold standard, but it's not. So then you could say, we are losing out. But it's not just that prices have been staying stable in gold. They've been falling in almost every category. And anything priced in gold is going down. So even if your dollar salary is less, right, then the amount of gold would keep going down with however much you could put away every month. Let's say you were in like $5,000 a month and you put, $1,000 a month away or $500 a month away in gold and silver over 20 years. And each month it's less and less gold and silver because they keep going up, but you need less and less gold and silver to even have higher standards of living. So you can live outside of this illusion. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's not about, stacking and then becoming rich and then, using gold and silver to accumulate dollars. We're getting out of the illusion as much as we can. It's like, like a drug addict, right? If you're talking to a drug addict, you have to understand how they think, but you can't go completely into their world, but you care for them. So you need to communicate with them in a way that they think that you're on their planet. But it's a very difficult position where we are because we have to put a leg in the illusion and we have to keep a leg out of it and keep our minds together, which is it's very difficult even for people like us. It's all the more difficult for people who don't understand intuitively with the confidence that gold is actually money, and it still is today. That was the final piece that fell into place for me. That only I think like in 2022 or something like that, when I finally understood, when it finally slipped into place that everything is really based on gold and silver in this entire pyramid that we're living on. The higher we get on it, the thinner the air gets, and the more insane we become keeping one leg in it while trying to keep one leg out. But we're keeping it together. A lot of people say, and I think they're correct, that we've talking about the pyramid, right? And gold is at the bottom. But underneath the gold is an even smaller triangle of silver in terms of value. Before gold was money, we talk about gold standard and going back to gold standard, and this is what we have to do. But really, it's not exactly that. It's really going back to silver is what we need to do. or what will be done. I understand that, trading silver coins is not economical in the sense that it's very bulky, and you can't actually exactly do that in today's world. But the human civilization started not on gold, but when we really started global trade and continents started trading, and the Silk Road, and Africa started trading with Asia, and you really got a big economic system going, was based on silver.
When credit collapses, it doesn't trickle, it cascades. Every fiat currency is built on the US dollar, and the US dollar is itself built on debt. So when one layer fails, the whole structure wobbles. The illusion that prices rise forever collapses instantly, and all of the supposed wealth floating on paper gets sucked into gold and silver. And silver, more than gold, is where the reckoning hits. Why? Because silver is not just money, it's a necessity. It's in every phone, every panel, every battery, every drop of purified water. Unlike gold, which can sit untouched for centuries, silver gets consumed, it gets lost. And that means when credit dies, silver becomes the rarest real money of all. Now, when I say we're going back to a 15-to-1 gold to silver ratio, I don't mean we'll wake up tomorrow morning and silver will suddenly reprice itself. The system will fight. The futures exchanges will scream. The COMEX and LBMA will pull every trick they can. They will cash settle contracts. They will move the goalposts. They will claim delivery delays. Remember when the Bank of England said, "We're a T+1 exchange," and then magically it became T+8 weeks because, supposedly, there weren't enough trucks to move the bars? Trucks. That's the lie they told to cover a supply problem. So yes, they'll kick and scream, but natural law is not negotiable. At the end, the math wins. And here's the math. If gold goes to $15,000 or $20,000 in a true revaluation event, and the ratio returns to 15-to-1, silver isn't $100, it's $1,000. That's the type of repricing we're talking about. And that's why I keep telling you, stop looking at silver as a speculative bet. It's not a bet. It's not a trade. It's an exit from the illusion. When you hold silver, you're already living partially outside of this fraudulent system. But let's ask the tough question. What does the United States look like after the dollar collapses? Will it survive in its current form? Maybe. Maybe not. We don't know. What we do know is that big cities like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, places already teetering under crime, corruption, and moral decay, will be the hardest hit. When food and energy get repriced in gold and silver terms, people in those cities will suffer first. Rural areas, small towns, states with tighter communities and real resources, they'll manage better. We may see the federal government lose control and regions form their own arrangements. Articles of Confederation 2.0, a loose union? Maybe. But the America we know now won't look the same. And that's not just my speculation. Look at BRICS. Look at what Russia and China are building. They're not waiting for Washington to reform. They're pricing oil, gas, and trade in their own currencies, backed by gold. They are creating alternatives right now. And every new BRICS gold market that pops up is a nail in the coffin of the dollar's monopoly. Western media will mock it, downplay it, or ignore it. But ask yourself, why are central banks buying more gold today than at any point in the last 55 years? Why is Poland buying? Why is Hungary buying? Why is China buying relentlessly and refusing to export their own production? They're preparing. And if they're preparing, so should you. Now, I want to emphasize something here. This isn't about becoming rich in dollars. Dollars won't matter. This is about survival and rebuilding. When the dollar dies, credit dies. When credit dies, trade freezes. And when trade freezes, people panic. But here's the good news. Panic is temporary. The system will reset. And stackers, the people holding real money, will be the ones who provide the liquidity to restart honest exchange. Think of yourself not just as a saver, but as a future capitalist. Someone who will lend and trade honestly when nobody trusts paper promises anymore. I'll share a story here from the Torah that really struck me because it mirrors where we are. There's a verse that says the golden menorah was made. It doesn't say Moses made it. The rabbis pick up on this and explain, Moses tried and failed. He couldn't do it. Finally, he said to God, "I can't. It's too hard. I'll throw this block of gold into the fire, and you make it." And the menorah emerged perfectly formed. The lesson? Some systems are too corrupted, too complex for human hands to fix. Sometimes all you can do is throw the block into the fire and let it be remade. That's where we are with fiat. We can't tweak it, we can't fix it, it has to collapse and be remade, and gold and silver will be the menorah that emerges. But let's be clear, this collapse won't be painless. People will fall, credit will dry up, companies will fail, jobs will vanish. But out of that pain comes a chance to rebuild on honesty. Imagine a banking system where debts are real, where every note is backed, where your savings actually hold value across generations. That's not utopia. That's normality. At least it was for most of human history before 1971. We've just forgotten. Now let's talk about silver again, because silver is going to shock people. I've said it before. Silver is the most undervalued monetary asset on Earth, but it's also the most consumed industrial metal. The U.S. Geological Survey admits the easy silver is gone. The big deposits have all been mined. New discoveries are tiny, costly, and rare. Unlike wood, you can't regrow it. Unlike oil, you can't synthesize it. And yet we're burning through it at record pace. Solar panels, electric cars, medical uses. All of it drains silver stocks year after year. We've been in structural deficit for 5 years now, and the West is bleeding inventories. At some point, that math explodes. And when that happens, the ratio to gold snaps back. 15-1, maybe even lower if panic sets in. That's the endgame signal. That's the bell ringing that the dollar is finished. And when that happens, society reorganizes around silver as the money of the people. Gold will be the reserve. Silver will be the medium of exchange, just like it was for millennia. Let's sprinkle in some modern color here. Imagine the tweets flying on that day. Silver just hit $500. I guess my grandma's spoons were a better investment than my 401k. Or, the dollar died so fast my ATM printed IOUS. Thank God for my silver stash. People will laugh, people will cry, but the truth will be undeniable. Honest money always returns. Now I'll close this part with what I think is the most important message. Don't look for a grand plan to save you. There is no trampoline, no safety net big enough to catch an empire built on theft. All debts are paid, either by repayment or default. All theft is paid, either by justice or collapse. The system will collapse. That's inevitable. What matters is whether you're holding illusions or reality when it does. Stackers hold reality, and reality always wins. So prepare yourselves. Prepare your families. Keep stacking. Keep one leg outside the illusion. And when the dust settles, remember, you're not just surviving, you're rebuilding. You're holding the seeds of the next economy in your hands. And when the ratio hits 15-1 and silver takes its rightful place alongside gold, you'll know the endgame has arrived. Not the end of the world, the end of the illusion, and the beginning of something honest again.
Stay informed about the latest developments shaping the precious metals markets with regular updates from the Finance Daily team. Not only that, but as a subscriber, you'll also receive timely silver and gold price notifications and early access to groundbreaking news unavailable to the general public. Join our free gold and silver newsletter today, link in the description.